Hi, welcome to live stream yoga with Louise. Tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today's practice is all about holding on for inspiration, holding on for strength. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify when you need to, rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to find a nice tall mountain stand at the top end of the mat. Bend your arms, float them out, stacking them and holding onto either your forearms or your wrists. You're going to hold them out at about shoulder height and start to use your elbow points to trace a circular pattern on the wall in front of you, working clockwise roughly 5 times. In center aligned and take 5 twists off center to the right and back. Exhaling to twist, inhaling to come back. In center aligned and start to trace 5 anti-clockwise circles. Come to stillness center aligned and take 5 twists to the second side. In center aligned and take 5 chairs. Using the movement dynamically to lubricate the joints. Hold your leg seat. Work those legs. Then take a nice tall stand and take a deep lunge step back on the left. Keeping your arms where they are or floating them overhead, maybe starting to reach for your elbow points, opposite hand to elbow, squeezing into center and holding on. Almost gently framing your head. See if you can hold the high lunge, centering your body weight, anchoring through that back leg. Then drop your back, knee, shin, and foot to the floor. Look for more of a crescent frame, holding on to those elbows. Then opening up the arms, T-frame, palm up, and think of those arms as the wings of an aeroplane. Reach long through your fingertips as you fly through the air. And then dip one wing heavy to the floor. Pause in that stretch. Inhale to center align and exhale to make the second wing heavy to the floor. Find your way back to center and place both hands on the inside of the lead leg. Swinging the lead leg back and finding your way into a strong 4-point kneeling tabletop position. Give me a long stretch through the neck and the spine. Press the mat away with both hands, both knees, and both feet. Loosely tuck the left hand behind your head. Think elbow to sky, and then start to rotate through the thorax, tapping for the inseam of your stabilizing arm 5 times. Playing with that rotation through the thorax. We're going to end elbow to sky. Hold there and breathe into the left side of your ribs, keeping your belly button softly pulled into center. Realign in table to repeat the same on the second side. We're going to end elbow to sky. Pause and breathe into the right side of your ribs. Find your way from here back into your 4-point kneeling frame and then drop down onto the forearms. fisting your hands together if you can so that you're making a little tripod frame with your arms. Stay here in your table or find your way into quarter dog by tucking the toes under and beginning to pike your bum up to the sky. Hold here, maybe sliding your feet slightly forward, looking for that intense stretch through the calves, through the back of the knees. It's going to feel almost impossible at this stage to anchor those heels, but do try to make them as heavy as you can. Hang your head like a little bell and look for that rush of blood into the head. Then keeping the forearms and the shoulders strong and the core braced, walk your feet back and find your way into a strong plank line. Pressing away from the mat and keeping your core braced and engaged. Keep sending energy into the heels of those back feet. Then relax your knees, your shins and your feet to the mat. Press away through the forearms and find your way into a modified Sphinx stretch. Trying to lengthen the line of your spine. Trying to melt your shoulders away from your ears. Then let's ease our way from here into a modified side plank play. Open up the hands, float the right arm in so that it's parallel to the front of the mat, and then flip over onto the right side of your body. Bending the left knee, and anchoring the foot to the mat. You can hold onto the foot or you can place both hands on the mat. We are going to see if we can lift the bottom hip off the floor. If all is going well, maybe you can bring the top arm close to your ear and hold that stretch. Then reconnect the bottom hip to the floor. Start to bend your extended leg and see if you can reach for that foot or that ankle, coming into a modified tiger stretch, relaxing the quad, the hamstring and the glute of the bottom leg, and seeing if you can tap heel to bum on that bottom leg. Don't collapse through that bottom shoulder, so keep pressing away from the mat. Bring that leg back into extension and see if you can bring the top foot and bring it into tree pose, lifting your bottom hip off the floor and extending that top arm alongside your ear. Reconnect to the mat, stack one arm on top of the other, coming into a puppy pose and relaxing your right ear to your stacked arms, maybe keeping both feet on the mat or maybe lifting the feet off and crossing one ankle in front of the other. Think lower belly quite close to the tops of your thighs, chest relaxed to the mat, bum to sky. Find your way from here back into Sphinx pose, bringing your arms back into that tripod frame, looking to grow the line of your spine and stretch into the lower belly. Then start to slide your arms out in front, coming into a little chest lift. Keeping that fist, maybe you'd like to morph your hands into Jupiter Mudra. Maybe you'd like to find a double leg lift. If the bow frame is too much for your back, drop your whole frame closer to the mat, maybe open up the arms and just hover them off the mat. So play where you're comfortable. Maybe you could even sweep the hands behind you, fisting them or holding the two palms together while holding that locust frame. Then relax your legs to the mat. Uncouple your hands, place your palms on the mat, and press back into a parallel child, keeping the feet in that parallel line as you take a little extended child bow, thinking forehead to floor. Then let's start to marry this child with a 4-point kneel and a little bump forward into the wrists, keeping the core engaged. And we'll seesaw between the two maybe 5 times, finding your rhythm. Maybe ending in the wrist lean, pausing, strong through the core. Give those glutes a nice little squeeze. Back to child pose, stacking one arm on top of the other, and this time coming to rest on your left temple. Ease your way from here into a down dog frame. And once you've found the basic frame, see if you can walk your feet in a little bit closer so that you are in more of an acute pike-like frame. Looking for that intense stretch and trying to anchor both legs as best you can. Stay here in the pike or look for some side pike play by taking the left foot, crossing it behind the right, then anchoring it to the mat and seeing if you can set up a figure 4 on the bottom leg. Maybe you can sweep the top arm overhead and come into a modified side plank, side pike hybrid. Find your way from here back into child pose, stacking the arms and this time coming to rest on the right temple. Back to a down dog frame. Set up your basic down dog. Stretch arms, stretch legs, stretch spine. Stay here or find your way to a figure 4 down dog by bending your right knee and resting your right foot on the left thigh, just above the knee. Feel quite an intense stretch into that left leg. Keep the figure 4 frame and see if you can drop to 4-point kneeling. Look for a little bit of opposition through that left knee and right foot. We're going to use this basic frame to sit back in a half lotus Vajrasana 2 seat. Maybe bringing the back heel in a little bit closer towards the midline of the body, starting to walk back, finding a seat on that foot, and then rearranging the front foot into a half lotus line, bringing that heel as close to the perineum as you can. If this is not working, just relax the right foot to the floor and maybe just drop onto the right bum bone and take a seat in Sukhasana, easy sit. If you found a comfortable seat in Bhaktacasana, just take a moment to settle your weight on that back foot, conditioning into it. And then start to rotate towards the left knee, grabbing opposite hand to hip, and just looking for a little bit of a detoxifying twist. Looking over the back shoulder towards the back end of your mat. Hold your seated twist for a few gentle breaths, looking to expand laterally into your twisted trunk with each inhale cycle. Then unravel your twist gently and lunge step forward. You can take a moment to creep your way forward into a low lunge, holding on to the right knee with your right hand and tucking the left arm behind your head, falling the weight of your head back, holding the weight of your head. Looking for a beautiful crescent curve, almost a cow-like curve through the spine. Hold on to your head, hold on to your knee. Then relax both hands to the floor, framing the lead leg. Tuck up the back toes, bring the knee up off the floor, step it up, coming into a forward fold, holding onto your forearms. Weighting the elbows, weighting the crown to the floor, just holding, trying to distribute your body weight as equally as you can between the balls and the heels of your feet. Look for that stretch through the legs, that stretch and that release through the spine. Feel that rush of blood to the head. Keep holding onto your elbows or your forearms. Soften your knees and peel back up one line of the ribs at a time. Restacking your body in one long line and making sure that you're bringing up your head last. Find a nice tall stand and begin to trace an anti-clockwise circle with your elbow points on the wall in front of you. Come to stillness along the midline and take 5 dynamic twists to the left and back. Hold your next twist. Pause. Working a little bit deeper this round. Come back to the middle and trace the 5 clockwise circles with your elbow points, maintaining your tall stand. Come to stillness center aligned and look for 5 dynamic twists to the second side. Hold your last twist, pause. Center aligned to take 5 dynamic seats. Hold your last seat, Utkatasana. Press the weight back into your bum and your heels so your knees should not be tracking over your big toes. Keep holding onto those arms. Then stand up nice and tall. Take a lunge step back on the right. Wiggle walking the foot back. Staying here or floating the arms overhead, maybe hugging the elbows in as you gently think of framing your head. Hold on. Pause here. Look for strength. Look for control. Then relax the back, knee, shin and foot to the floor. Look for more of a crescent frame as you peek up to the sky. Now open up your arms into a T-frame. Find a little aeroplane-like frame reaching long through your crown and your fingertips. Dip one wing heavy to the floor, pause in the stretch, reaching long through both arms. Center align your aeroplane and then dip on the second wing. Find your way back to center and place both hands on the floor on the inside of the lead leg. Sweep it back and find a long tabletop stretch through the spine. Press the mat away with your palms, your knees, and your feet. Tuck the left arm behind the head. Think elbow to sky and then start to play with your thoracic rotation 5 times, dropping the elbow across the midline and reaching for the inseam of your stabilizing arm. Give yourself roughly 5 rotations and then hold the last one. Think elbow to sky. Look for the left side of your ribs and take a few breaths here. Pressing away from the mat through your 2 knees and your 1 palm. Find your way back to 4-point kneeling and repeat your thoracic rotation on the second side. We're going to end elbow to sky and breathe into the open side of your ribs. Bleed your way back to 4-point kneeling. Drop down onto the forearms, fisting the 2 palms together, holding on to the hands, staying here in your modified table, or morphing into quarter dog, Katur Svanasana, by tucking the toes under, setting up that frame, pressing away from the mat with your fist, your forearms, and your elbows. Piking the bum up nice and high, and keeping belly to spine. Allowing the neck to stretch as the crown reaches for the floor. Keep your arms strong and engaged. Keep your core strong and engaged as you begin to walk your feet back, finding your way into a modified elbow plank. Pausing here, looking for strength, looking for control. Then release the knees, shins, and feet to the mat. Press away through the forearms and grow the line of your spine as you come into a modified fisted sphinx line. We're going to find our way from here into our side plank play, this time on the left. Unclasp your hands, float the left arm in, use it as a brace, and slip over onto the left side of the body, bending the right knee and grounding the foot to the floor. You can hold on to the knee, you can hold on to the ankle, or you can keep both hands on the floor as you lift the bottom hip off the floor. All going well. Think of arcing and framing on the top arm and holding that modified side plank. Reconnect your bottom hip to the floor. Start to bend the knee of your extended leg. See if you can reach opposite hand to foot. Relaxing the glute, the hamstring, the quad of the bottom leg, and tapping bum to heel on that bottom leg. Taking a nice little modified tiger stretch here. And then extend that bottom leg once more and see if you can find your way into a tree frame, resting the sole of the right foot on the inseam of the bottom leg, then lifting that bottom hip off the floor, arcing and framing with the top arm, and holding your modified tree side plank. As you uncouple, step one arm in front of the other, morphing your way into a little puppy stretch, coming to rest on your left ear and relaxing your left ear to your stacked arms. Make sure that you're stacking one in front of the other, not one on top of the other, so that you've got a flatter arm frame and you can relax your chest to the floor. Find your way from your back to your tripod sphinx frame, fisting your two hands together, holding on, pressing the mat away with your forearms, growing the line of your spine. We're going to find our way to a locust line from here, starting to extend the arms and dropping down into a small chest lift, maybe keeping the hands fisted and on the mat, lifting them, maybe even bringing them to Jupiter and holding. Maybe you can find that double leg lift, pausing here for a moment, almost resting the weight in this bow-like frame on the belly, and then maybe sweeping the arms behind to interlace behind, starting to squeeze the two shoulder blades closer together and opening up generously through your chest center. Salambasana, locust frame. When you're ready, relax the line of the legs to the mat and find your way into child pose. Keep the legs in parallel and take a nice long extended stretch through the arms. Thinking of taking a bow to the mat. Then start to marry this child with a little 4-point kneel, leaning into the wrists. And then start to find a soft, gentle, almost seesawing pattern between the two. Keeping strong through the arms and strong through the chest every time you lean into the wrists. We're going to end in the wrist lean. Pause here, strong through the arms, strong through the core. Give those glutes a nice little squeeze. Then press back into child, stacking one arm on top of the other and coming to rest on your right temple, chilling out here for a few breaths. When you're ready, you're going to find your way into a down dog frame. Once you've found the basic frame, you're going to try to walk your feet a little bit closer so that you are in more of an acute pike-like frame. And you're going to hold that intense stretch, looking for legs, spine, arms. Holding for maybe 10 soft counts. And then you can either elect to stay in your pike or you can modify into some side pike play by crossing the right leg behind the left, anchoring the foot to the mat, and then setting up a figure 4 on the bottom leg, maybe arcing and framing your head with the right arm. Find your way back to child pose from here, stacking one arm on top of the other, coming to rest on your left temple this side. Bleeding your way from here back into a down dog frame, settling into the stretch and just hold it. Should feel a lot more intuitive now. Body should feel a lot warmer. Limbs should feel a lot more nimble. Hold that down dog or transition it into a figure four down dog by finding a figure four pattern, resting the left foot on the top of the right thigh. Look for that intense stretch up the back chain of the right leg. Try to keep that figure four pattern as you drop down into a 4-point kneeling tabletop, almost trying to splay that left knee out in the figure four position for a moment as you press away from the mat with your two palms and both knees. Look at the basic frame of your legs and think about how you're going to find your way into your half lotus spinal twist. Start to bring the back heel in closer towards the midline so that you can use it as a stool, and you're going to walk your weight back, finding your seat on that foot and then retucking your left leg into a half lotus line, thinking heel to the inside of the right hip. Take a moment to just comfortably position yourself in your seat and then take a twist to the right, grabbing opposite hand to hip and looking for a little detoxifying twist. Hold your twist. Maybe looking over the right shoulder to the back edge of your mat. Then undo your detoxifying twist and find your way into a low lunge step to the top end of the mat. Grab hold of your left knee with your left hand and then tuck your right hand behind your head and hold the weight of your head as you fall it back into your palm and stay here, holding onto the head, holding onto the knee. Thinking beautiful crescent frame through the back, looking up towards the sky. Breathe. Hold on. Look for strength. Look for control. We're going to find our way from here into a forward fold. So start to place maybe fingertips to floor either side of the lead leg. You're going to step up the back leg, bring your legs into parallel, bend and hold on to the elbows or just your forearms and hold your fold line. Try to equalize the weight between the balls and the heels of your feet. Then relax your knees, think haunch line, walk your hands back to the mat and find your way to a seat, dropping onto the elbows behind you, thinking chest to sky, and starting to externally rotate the left knee out and back. Maybe executing 5 lazy traces in one direction, and then 5 in the opposite, just to lubricate through that hip joint on the right. Then repeat the same motion on the left. Five traces in each direction. Find your way to a butterfly line, bringing the soles of your feet together. Pausing here for a moment and just making those knees nice and heavy, not trying to force the stretch in any way. Then walk your way up to a tall seat, maybe scooching your perineum closer to your heels. Anchor both hands on the mat behind you and just pause here for a moment in the stretch. Then step your feet off the mat, softly splaying them out. Find a tall seat and bring your hands to active prayer, using your elbows to press the knees away. You can think of this as a modified seated deep squat. And if the balance, the control, and your core are all working for you today, see if you can extend your hands overhead. You could even morph into Jupiter Mudra if you like, as you float those hands overhead. Then start to peel your toes off the mat. Extend the legs, coming into a straddle seat, Upavista Konasana. Start to interlace the hands and press them away from you. Begin to trace a small clockwise circle as if you were stirring a big pot with those interlaced and inverted hands. And then start to bring more of your body into play, becoming aware of where your feet are and almost stirring over them with your arms. Start to stretch wider and wider. We're going to shoot for a stretch over the right foot. Maybe you can hook over the foot and think head to knee, or maybe you're just reaching as far as you can past your toes and then maybe dropping your head between the two arms as if you were trying to frame your ears. Play where you're comfortable. Hold the stretch. Peel back to center. Bring the two legs together. Hug the energy in towards your chest and away as you play with Dandasana, tall seat, and a modified forward fold, Paschimottanasana. Maybe you can end in the fold, either framing your ears or hooking over your feet and thinking nose to knee. Pause. Wherever you are, breathe. Sit up nice and tall, place your fingertips on the mat behind you and walk your way onto the forearms. Start to externally rotate through the hip on the left side. And then trace the circle in the opposite direction. Making the movement soft, fluid and dynamic. And then change legs. Making sure you work in both directions. When the hips are nicely lubricated, find your way into a supine butterfly or a modified supine butterfly. You can think of this as a marriage between butterfly and fish. Motsuyasana. Pausing here for a moment. And then walking up into a seat, scooching your perineum closer to your heels, and just taking a moment to settle into your butterfly. Make the knees heavy, make your bum bones heavy, allow your spine and your crown to float for the sky. Then step your feet wide off the mat. Set up that modified deep squat, hands in active prayer, so pressing into the palms, pressing out through the elbows, squeezing in with the knees. Maybe your core is strong enough and you can float your hands overhead. Think steeple frame, either keeping your hands in prayer or morphing them into Jupiter Mudra. Making a steeple-like frame with your index fingers. Open up into a straddle line, enjoying that delicious stretch for a moment through the back chain of the legs, bracing actively into the feet. And then start to bring the hands down, keep them interlaced and inverted, and begin to stir a pot anti-clockwise. Start small, become aware of your feet and your periphery, and start to make your stir bigger, bringing more of your body into the stir. You're going to use that stirring action to try to end left, framing your ears or hooking over your foot, thinking those to me. Breathe. Then take a nice tall seat, bring the two legs out in front of you and think of hugging the energy towards your chest and away from your chest, giving yourself a few dynamic movements just to limber up through the spine and the legs and the arms. And then see where you can end, maybe just framing your head and reaching past your toes, or maybe hooking around the toes and thinking nose to knee. Pause, take a few delicious breaths. We're going to bleed up from here, keeping that nice tall staff seat, Dandasana. Feet are actively braced and bringing the hands to a gentle but active prayer press in front of the heart. Take a moment to close your eyes and take your focus inward. Think of our key words for today's practice. Hold on and allow the truth of the next few words to sink in. To succeed, you need to find something to hold on to, something to motivate you, something to inspire you. Hold on, stay strong, better things are coming. Namaste to you. Thank you so much for coming out and playing today. Hope you enjoyed today's practice. Till next time, keep it light.